YouTube. Just wanted to do a quick video here before I get to working out so that I can show you guys how I retighten my hair. Remember, this is how I retighten my hair, not necessarily like how other people do their hair, but just wanted to kind of do this video so that during this time that we're stuck in the house, you guys can kind of see how I get my hair retightened. So here I just finished retightening my hair, but I left 2 locks in the front so that I could show you guys how I retighten it. So of course the first thing we're going to want to do here is we're going to want to isolate the locks that I'm going to retighten. So right now I'm going to kind of show you how I do that. So you want to pull all hair away from the lock that you're going to retighten. Normally I start from the back and work my way up to the front. But in this case, I just have the 2 front to show you guys. So I'm going to first isolate that. Excuse me. I'm going to pin back all the hair around this lock and make sure everything is kind of pulled taut so that there's no way for me to accidentally combine the lock that I'm working on with another lock. So here we go. I do a 3-point rotation, and I do 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 6 o'clock. Sometimes I'll reverse it if I'm doing a lock that's on my edges and I'm trying to catch the edge hair to kind of pull it into the lock. And I'll do 3 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock. When you get up to the top, I always have some type of part somewhere. Usually it's right in the middle, but recently I've tried to put my part in a different spot so that my hair doesn't wear out in the middle. And so when I'm at the top, I kind of lay my lock the way I want it to go, even though it really doesn't matter because once your hair starts growing out, you can lay the lock either way. But here I'm just going to kind of put this lock in the direction that I naturally just want it to fall. So here we go. I'm going to show you how I do it once I stop blabbing. But in this case, the way we're looking at it, it's going to look like I'm doing 3 o'clock, but really I'm doing 6 o'clock. So now we're doing 12 o'clock, which is straight up. Pull it all the way through. And you need to kind of feel up top to make sure you're not leaving a knot or anything once you pull it through. Okay, so that was 1 rotation, I believe. Also, when you're pulling it through, make sure you're pushing the tool all the way down to where your hair is already locked so that you don't create any unnecessary gaps in your lock that could weaken your lock. So it looks like I was able to do 2 full rotations, but I want to test it just to see if I could do 1 more here. And it kind of is pulling, it feels like it's pulling at my hair, so I'm not going to do that last rotation. I'm just going to leave it alone, and that lock is done. The reason why I don't like to tighten mine super tight, because I don't like my hair to pull, and I don't want to see those white dots from follicles that have been pulled from my scalp. So I try to stop before it gets all the way down to my scalp. But of course, it's your hair. You can decide what you want to do. So now I'm going to start on the second lock that I left. But before I do that, I forgot to show you what tool I use. So I use the Easy Lock tool. And I found this on Amazon for about 15 bucks. This is my third Easy Lock tool that I've had since I started retightening my own hair. My very first one was actually metal, but I lost it. Now Easy Lock does most of their tools in plastic. So they're cheaper than the metal, but they don't last as long. So here the orientation at the camera's looking in. Now we're going to go to the original rotation, which is 9 o'clock. Pull that through, make sure it's not leaving any gaps. 12 o'clock, just straight up. 9 o'clock again, and straight down to 6 o'clock. That's one rotation. Here's the second one, 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 9 o'clock, back down to 6 o'clock. However, there's still some space, still plenty of space to do another full rotation. So there's 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 6 o'clock. So we got 3 rotations out of that one. And that's just happens sometime. You know, some places your hair grows more than others. So, and then just the thickness of the lock comes into play and all of that. And so that all has a bearing on how many rotations you have. Usually I retighten my locks every 5 to 6 weeks. And so on average, I can get 2 rotations in on every lock. But there's some locks where I'll only get 1 full rotation, and then there's other locks where I'll get 3 full rotations. But on average, it's 2 rotations per lock. So that's it. I mean, that completes my retightening for this 6 weeks. So just some other tips on retightening your hair. Again, I start from the back, and what I do is I section my hair off. So I try to section it off so that it's wearable, meaning that like I'll let part of it in the back hang down, and I'll pull up the top, and that kind of separates the locks that I've already retightened from the locks that I haven't. And I can still go out and look presentable, but I keep track of where I'm at, where I left off as far as retightening. So right here I'm demonstrating kind of how I do that. Like I'll leave the back down, and you know, maybe that back row will be the locks I haven't done yet. and then I'll pull up the top, and it just helps me keep track so that when I go back to finish, because I never ever retighten all my locks in one sitting. I give myself time. I take my time and do it. And I sometimes just have goals. I'll say I want to get this much of my hair done in the next couple of hours, and I'll just sit there and do it until that section's done. So that's kind of how I do that. And then you can use a spray bottle to moisten your roots as you retighten. That does help on, if you're tender-headed like me, it'll help it feel better when you do your locks, when you retighten your own locks.